Hey, welcome to the Insecure Chef. I'm here with Regina, as always, in the middle of this relatively frigid winter here in the Northeast. It was at 0 degrees Fahrenheit recently, so it's cold out there. Anyway, today, as always, with these cold weathers, I enjoy making soup. So today I'm going to do a tomato-based Italian meatball soup. It's a take on the Italian wedding soup. This one has tomato in it. As you know, the Italian wedding soup typically does not. So it's basically a take on that. We'll be using numerous vegetables, little pastas, and we're going to get started right away. So I've got some about a tablespoon of olive oil heating up here in the pan. I'm using I guess that's a 4-quart pan. This servings I'm making is for 2. Obviously, if you want it more, just double it or treble it as you see necessary. So I'm going to let this oil heat up just a minute here, and I'm going to be sauteing the carrots, onions, and celery. As you see here, I've already diced them down. Okay, people have asked me, Al, why don't you show the cutting and dicing? I'm certainly not an expert. There's many better videos out there that shows you how to do that kind of thing. You're probably better at it than I am. So I figured I save time by having them already pre-cut. I think you're more interested in what I'm making and how it's done other than the techniques. And I'm certainly not the guy to teach you techniques. So with that said, I'm going to put in here the... as I said, the carrots, the celery, and the onions. Going to get that started right now. Now, garlic's going to be going in. Some folks start with garlic, some folks don't. I really haven't found a vast difference. Depending on how long I'm going to be sauteing, very often I like to put the garlic in a little later because I don't want it to burn. But everybody will have their opinion on that. It all seems to come out tasty in the end anyway, so that seems to be the basic premise necessary. Okay, let that get started. So I'm not sure where you folks are, but it's been very cold around here. So I'm going to let this saute and start to soften these up. This will probably take about anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. All right, as I mentioned, of course, this is Italian meatball soup. So I broke this really into 2 parts in order to avoid making it too long a video. I've already made my own meatballs here, and as you can see them down here, okay? Now, the amount of meatballs you put in this is really up to you. I'm probably going to put between 5 and 6. Some people do 6 or 8, whatever you like. I made these meatballs, and if you wanted me to do a video on how I made them, I'll be glad to do that. You should let me know. The reason I didn't do it here is, one, to shorten the video, and 2, a lot of folks already use pre-prepared meatballs. A lot of these small meatballs are available frozen. La Costa makes it. Del Monaco makes them frozen. A number of brands. You can get them at the large box stores or wherever you want. So I figured a lot of folks might already have that. It's convenient. They're frozen. You can throw them right in at the end when we're cooking the pasta portion of this. So I didn't do that right now. If you really want to know how I made them, let me know. These are turkey-based meatballs. You can certainly make them with beef, turkey, chicken, combination, whatever you like. So that's where these are. And so if you didn't miss anything on the video, you're going to say, where did you get the meatballs from? All right, so we'll be putting them in later on. All right, so I've been sauteing down now. These have been sauteing for about 7 minutes or so. They're just to soften up, so they look pretty good. Okay, I'm going to throw in the garlic now. I have a clove of minced garlic that I minced up. I'm going to throw that in right now, like that. And we're just going to let that get fragrant, about 30 seconds worth of that. And then we're going to follow that up now with the tomatoes. I'm using fire roasted tomatoes. You can use any kind of crushed or petite tomatoes you like. That smells good, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
All right, so I'm going to go in with half a can. Again, as always, the quantities are on the channel. I'm going to go in with a half a can here. Yeah, like that. Maybe just a bit more. There we go. I'm going to get that in there, give that a nice stir. And I'm working on medium to slightly lower than medium heat. All right, now I'm going to follow that up with approximately 2 cups of beef stock. You can use canned or you can make your own. Over that, we're going to follow that up. All right, and now I'm just going to add a half a tablespoon of oregano to this. like so. Give that a stir in there. There we go. And we're going to let that build up. We're going to bring it to a boil. We're raising the heat. And once it boils, we're going to let it simmer. And at this stage, you can add your salt and pepper to taste, however you like it. I didn't give quantities. I find, again, some folks tell me it wasn't salty enough. It was too salty. Obviously, it's a personal taste, so you can add it in now or at the back end. I'm going to add it now. I know how I like it. I'm going to be going probably with about a half of a teaspoon of salt and maybe, just an eighth of a teaspoon of black pepper. And we're going to bring this up, as I said, to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer a while. All right, let's get that there. So once that comes to a boil, we'll let it simmer for about, I guess about 5 or 6 minutes. All right. As you can see now, this has been simmering now nicely for about 8 or 10 minutes. And at this point now, I'm going to be putting in my pasta. You can use any kind of small pasta, elbow macaroni, ditalini, something small that's not going to absorb too much of the soup. I'm using about 3/4 of a cup here. I'm using ditalini, as I said, but you can use any small pasta. So that's going to go in there now. We're going to give that a nice stir. And then we're going to let this simmer until the pasta's cooked. About 10 to 12 minutes. If you like your pasta soft, let it go 12. If you don't mind it having just a little bit firm, let it go about 10. All right, but halfway through this cooking process here, I'll be back to add the meatballs. So we'll be back then. Okay, there we go. We've been simmering now for about 5 minutes. You see it's starting to thicken up. At this point, I'm going to be throwing in the meatballs. These are just out of the refrigerator. I made them yesterday. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I can show you how to make them if you want it. And then you can always make in large quantities and freeze them. So I'm putting those in right now. And as many as you'd like in there, depending how much meat you like. Now, if by some chance, as you're cooking down, because I'm going to let this cook for another 5 minutes, that'll finish up the pasta. But if you notice that when you're doing that, it seems to be getting a little bit too thick for your taste, you can always add more beef broth, or for that matter, just extra water. Okay? It won't hurt anything. And you can do that, and that way you can keep the thickness of the soup to your preference. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay. There we go right now. This has been now for 10 minutes. The pasta is at the texture I like it at. And as you see, the soup has thickened up considerably. Now, if you like it thinner, I've got just some water here. You can just dump the water in. If you want, just give it and you can get any consistency you like there. If you had leftover beef broth, use that, whatever you like. Okay, so now I'm going to ladle out some here on my dish here. And I'm going to get a couple of meatballs in there. All right. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm just going to finish it off with about a tablespoon of parsley, because I like that. If I can get it to come off the spoon. There we go. There we are. And maybe a teaspoon or so of Parmesan cheese. What do you think, babe?
Good. Good.
All right, looks good there. And we'll take a taste. Let's give it a taste. Very, very good. I'm happy with that. Let's try that meatball. I think I have to make a confession. I'm not a big turkey fan. I love Thanksgiving turkey, turkey meat, but I'm not a big fan of ground turkey. I grew up in an Italian household in Brooklyn that lived in the world of beef, veal, and chicken. Okay? So turkey, ground turkey was not something that I was really comfortable with. Regina eats a lot of that. However, I decided to make these meatballs in my attempt to be heart healthy with turkey. I figured it's just for me, I'll give it a shot. These are all straight turkey. What was it, 93% lean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I have to admit, they're delicious. And again, if you're interested in how I made them, let me know. I'll do a quick video on how I made these. But I am shocked how good these are. And from a guy who is not a big fan, you know I'm telling you the truth. So, from the Insecure Chef and his wonderful wife, Regina.
Have a great day.
Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of the year. Hopefully the start of the year has been good. It's big changes throughout our country, so God willing, everything goes well. Thank you again. Take care.